I feel like Apple has not had something kind of like how material design is on Google, where it's like layers of things. And the whole point of that when they were building that out was to like mimic physical things that you're touching. So I could see how you said, Marques, that this is supposed to be like for Vision OS with like, it makes a lot of sense to have glassy things, but we touch glass all the time. So I don't think that would be that weird on our phones.
I think I'll
touch glass.
Touch glass.
We got to talk about this alleged upcoming iOS 19 update. Headline, word on the street is it's going to be a major visual overhaul. And if you read into this story, so this is a Bloomberg article, it seems like there's going to be the biggest overhaul since iOS 7 is what they're saying, and it's going to be much inspired by VisionOS. So a lot of that, like when you open up VisionOS, or if you watch the video of VisionOS, very glassy, a lot of transparency. I'm on the fence about it. I'm trying to picture iOS looking like that. And I get that you want it to be consistent and everything, but it's also technically skeuomorphism.
Can I take it a step further? This is not just iOS. This is iPadOS, macOS, and
Everything.
iOS. Yeah, they said, Mark Gurman said it's the biggest change to Mac since Big Sur, which is in 2020. And then, like you said, iOS since iOS 7.
It would make sense if you are Apple and you're doubling down on VisionOS really is our future and really is something we believe in. So everything's going to look like that. I get that part. I'm just trying to picture. I'm not a designer, clearly. I'm trying to picture what that actually looks like. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on how VisionOS looks currently.
It's interesting because they just went through a bunch of like, we're adding dark mode now. And so you have to like make a dark mode icon. And so clearly they don't want to do a bunch more work to actually change the look of the icons again. So it's more going to be the UI elements. So the idea of the existing icons like sitting on top of that glassy UI element is kind of interesting. But in the Vision Pro, they have that working already, I guess. So I could see it. I mean, I think people adapt to things faster than people generally think they adapt to things. So
They adapt to it quickly, but they love to complain about adapting to it immediately.
they complain for like a month and then they get over it.
And I'm one of them. I
Same.
totally understand where they're coming
Yes.
Do you guys like the way VisionOS looks visually?
Yeah.
Like it's got some floating elements outside the windows. So there's these glassy windows with a sort of like a frosted glass type of look, so that the whatever's behind them is like frosted out. And then there are hovering elements outside of it, like the X or the bar to drag and move around the window. Every icon is a circle also, I believe, on the home screen. Things layer on top of each other a lot, so the glass kind of stacks. It's definitely an appropriate look for UI in a physical space, because there's often going to be like surfaces and textures and things like that behind the glass that you still want to be aware of. So it makes sense to have that in a physical space. But the iPhone or the Mac never to me felt like it had to do that. So I get consistency, but I just don't. I don't know if I can picture it.
Yeah, I guess usually these companies want to get you used to the primary interaction mode, that like the object that you use the most, and then everything sort of percolates from that. And it's definitely looking very far into the future to say VisionOS and Vision-like interaction with the computer is what you need to get used to right now, because VisionOS or Vision Pro sales are not doing very well.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be quite a while before we transition to using these kind of headsets more often.
Yeah. Mark Gurman said that the push is like part of them trying to simplify how users use their devices. So I guess like if you think about it, VisionOS probably is the simplest way to use something because you have less intuitive controls. They needed to make it as simple as possible. I agree with you though. Moving everything to be into their least popular, least like in the hands of people product feels weird, but I guess they had to spend so much time creating the UI. And I think it's a little further than just, the icons. There are a lot of like circular, glassy, very rounded edges on a lot of different things inside of like the menu systems and playing songs and settings and messages and everything. So maybe it's just slightly going a little more towards that.
They also might think that if they can get users used to the UI right now on a thing that they use all the time, when they eventually buy some sort of Vision OS type device, whatever that ends up being, it'll be more naturally intuitive to them because the UIs look the same. You know, it's
checks out.
kind of like how the Apple Watch like uses very similar icons to like the iPhone, and the menus are similar, and it's got its own like design and style, but it's still like intuitive because you know how to use the iPhone.
Yeah, I think it's also kind of interesting though, is the claim to this, and obviously this is a rumor, but Gurman's pretty spot on a lot of the time, trying to make everything so similar when just at one of the questions you answered at the South by show was somebody asking if touchscreens would go on Macs, and like how there's a very distinct difference between how the iPad and the Mac work. So we're trying to make things more similar, but Apple also needs to make things not too similar so they don't cannibalize each other's products.
Right.
Where do we draw the line? What are we just talking UI here? Like, it's funny doing that. How are they not going to cannibalize other things?
Yeah. So VisionOS is still going to have to be their only, I'm doing air quotes for audio listeners, spatial operating system. Like things are going to be in front of and behind, and you move them around in forward and backward in space. That's VisionOS is the only place that will still happen. So I guess that distinguishes VisionOS from the other things, and then the other things are still going to be glossy and transparent and glassy and things like that. Technically, again, skeuomorphism. I think I'm using that word correctly, but they won't have the X, Y, and Z axis all at the same time.
Yeah. All I'm saying is like I miss the days of Android releases where every single one looked completely different.
Yeah, this
and
is
we
like
just got
Hollow.
like weird, wacky, wild stuff. Yeah, Hollow.
It was fun.
In gingerbread, Kit Kat or gingerbread.
Yeah, those days
was
were
the
crazy.
best. It was just
That's a
amazing.
crazy
I was going to say, I'm
sentence.
looking forward to this because I feel like Apple has not had something kind of like how material design is on Google, where it's like layers of things. And the whole point of that when they were building that out was to like mimic physical things that you're touching. So I could see how you said, Marques, that this is supposed to be like for Vision OS with like, it makes a lot of sense to have glassy things, but we touch glass all the time. So I don't think that would be that weird on our phones.
I think all
Touch glass.
touch glass.
Here, okay, we just finished talking about how electric cars have way less tactile feel, and people are used to having and miss real tactile, like typing on an iPad versus typing on a mechanical keyboard, that type of difference. I don't know. Does skeuomorphism on a glass screen where things are starting to represent real textures and materials again, does that feel backwards
But
or
the texture
forward?
is glass. Like when it's mimicking like a
Fair.
frosted glass and then you're touching things on your screen that is also glass.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Are we picturing like the Finder window being like that, like a bit more see-through
think,
with all
yeah.
of you? Because I kind of
Because
like
the
that
sidebar is
idea.
opaque right now. Imagine that. Like the stuff around the UI is now all suddenly glass.
I think the reason I would like that is because a lot of Apple monitors are like the Pro Display XDR is just a big monitor. So I don't use double. I just use a lot of different window sizes kind of all over the place. So having Finder windows that are more transparent and being able to kind of see what's directly under it while still being able to recognize, the icons that are inside the Finder window.
Yeah.
I think that sounds kind of nice.
There is, forgive me if someone already said this, there is a lot of transparency already in macOS.
Yeah.
Like when you open a new tab in Safari, for example, that's like a opaque. Not that anyone here
translucent.
I don't
uses.
use
Safari. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Even Finder.
And the notification, the
Yeah.
control center,
Am I-
like that
did I-
pop down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like an iOS. And we were talking about this when it got updated. We were like, oh, wow, they're adding a bunch of very iOS-y elements to Mac OS.
Yeah.
And I guess we just got used to them.
They just need to make the YouTube app look like the old little TV again. That's all I'm saying. And the leather, yeah.
The leather Instagram and icon.
Yeah.
leather. We need more leather. I agree.
Yeah. If it's pure aesthetics, I feel like you can just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And this is the one they've chosen.
And there are
Classy.
some apps that we've like really abstracted. Like the old photo app used to be a sunflower, like
my
a
gosh.
picture of a sunflower.
It was, yeah.
And now it's that like pinwheel that is supposed to sort of be a flower, but it's just been abstracted into this like generic pinwheel that also Slack uses and also Google Photos uses and also a million other apps use. So yeah, I don't know. I'm all for things looking like they look in real life. I'm super down.
I just want to say, if you want a preview of this, there's a thing called Hyperland on Arch Linux, by the way. And it
I
is
use Arch, by the way.
I use Arch, by the way. And it is very, like, everything is transparent. And see, I mean, you could customize it to not be that, but everything that I see on, like, r/Unix porn, which is a amazing thing. Yeah, I know. Crazy.
Can you say that
What?
Yeah.
on the podcast?
Yeah. r/Unix porn. That's the
Maybe
the
say it one
community.
time.
Maybe I should say it one more time. So yeah, in that community, a lot of people customize their setups to look very transparent and glassy. So that's a good little preview if you want to see what macOS could look like.
Interesting.
I'm just excited for an overhaul because we just did the world's most boring MacBook Air review ever. Because just like things aren't changing at all, and I will be excited to see something different.
They whispered blue into the box before closing.
That I did not realize that you had that in the script, and I was watching the video and I like LOL'd. You said that.
What's up? Ellis here. Welcome to the Clips outro. And I just wanted all of our viewers to close their eyes and imagine something real quick. And I want you to imagine a Google executive walking out of their office. Let's say it's their New York office. They step outside and this song starts playing. And as they step down the street holding their prototype Pixel, having a great day, a strong gust of wind comes and blows the Pixel into the air. It flips over and over and over before it just happens to land in the hands of someone who does CAD modeling for a tech reviewer. And this happens every single time they release a Pixel. Every single time. Anyway.
We should do live theater.
Yeah. We should. Anyway, though, but thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, engage, give back to your community, hug your family, and thanks. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Take a vacation.
I did do that once.